What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to give you guys a very important warning about the overall market. I'm going to do another comparison between the VIX and the S&P 500, not to mention the QQQ, and then talk about what this is all suggesting for us going into the next upcoming weeks. But before I begin to detail all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you are guaranteed 7 free stocks, and the offer ends in just about 2.5 weeks. Anyways, for SPY, I have my SPY chart on the left, and I also have my VIX chart on the right. I'm going to actually delete all of my drawings from this chart right here, and I want to kind of show you guys these charts side by side. And what you'll notice is that there's a very, very interesting correlation, and something very big is happening to the markets right now. So we're going to go back just for a couple of weeks and then talk about this interesting correlation between them. Notice how they are inversely correlated, and they do have a lot of interesting correlations. So when we go back to the chart right here on SPY, look at what happened right over here, right? February 15th, SPY was at 502. We get this rug pull all the way down to about 493. Then we bounce. What did the VIX do during that time? Well, if we go right here, the VIX basically started off down here at this 12 area, got a big bounce, SPY drops 10 points, then the VIX comes back down and SPY rebounds and just continues to do this back and forth thing. All right, so March 1st, you guys can see it right here. The VIX dipped to 13. Then the VIX got this nice little push going into about March 11th, all the way back up. What did SPY do? Right here, March 1st, it's actually back here. SPY was up to about this, what is this? This 513 area came all the way down to 504, so it dropped 9 points. Came back up to 518, then came all the way back down towards 508. And then the next significant thing was on March 11th. That's when the VIX was all the way here. The VIX started dipping all the way down to the 12s again, and that's when SPY was approaching its all-time high. The VIX never held below 12 or reached below 12. It just held the 12s for about a week, and then we saw the VIX explode to the upside. And that's when SPY ended up tanking from 525-ish all the way down to about 493. And then since then, what's been happening is SPY has been on an uptrend. The VIX went from 21, I think it's just a little bit above 21. Let me just double check. So 21, and it's come all the way back down to 12. The market went from 493, and we're going all the way back up to about the 520s. So see this correlation right here, how they're inversely correlated with one another. But here's the issue. Since this year started, the VIX, let me just bring up a little line to show you this. The VIX has always bounced off this 12.5 area since this year started. Right here, right? It bounced, 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 and it never spends over a week around the 12 area. It tends to bounce almost all the time. So that suggests to me that the market's going to likely get a rejection very soon. Now, is it a guarantee? We can't make any promises. It really depends on our levels and such, but there is a good chance that the market will reject soon. That's what the VIX is kind of showing us. So for SPY, you know, I think it's possible SPY holds up for a little bit longer. It is possible we hold this area. But with all these catalysts coming out, don't forget that for Tuesday, we have PPI coming out. We have Jerome Powell giving a speech. Wednesday, we have CPI coming out. Are we about to get a rug pull? And that's the thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. So the VIX suggests in its cycle that yes, within a week, the VIX is going to bounce. It's going to get a big bounce up, and we have a gap to fill. We're going to likely fill this gap all the way up in the 14s and eventually push higher. If that's the case, SPY is going to come down quite a bit by at least 8 to 10 points. All right. So there's a very good chance SPY will retrace. And then we have some more things that kind of suggest that. So I'm going to just actually focus now on SPY. The VIX already is down to key support where it bounced off of every single time this year. That's already done with. Now we could get a bounce on the VIX. And if that's the case, we could get a rejection on SPY. I'm going to go up to the overall chart like this. I want to show you guys some interesting things that I'm seeing. So where are we right now? We're actually at a very, very high level right now on SPY thus far. Like if we go from this high up here, and we just bring back our Fibonacci retracement chart, you can see that we've actually surpassed our 0.786 retracement, and we're actually doing very, very well approaching this imbalance up here. But the issue is we need to see where the new high is going to be, because I don't know if the high is in yet. Is the high at 522 or not? As of right now, we're seeing declining volume. Volume is slowing down, And we simultaneously have a bearish divergence right here, right? Our MACD is trending downwards, the price is going upwards. This is a bearish divergence. So to me, it looks like this is going to pull back just a bit, and we'll have to see if we make a bigger move or not. So I would say for SPY, I'd be watching 520. We're actually below 520 in the after hours, but we'll see if that holds for Monday. If we lose that, our next target is going to be all the way down towards 518 to 517. And if that fills us, we could be looking for a move all the way back down towards 513.5. Now, it all depends. If we break 522, we could remain bullish, but that's what we're doing right now. The daily chart of SPY is also, it has a lot of gaps. So I find this very suspicious. So if the VIX, and let me show you this one more time. If the VIX were to somehow get a big bounce, so if the VIX is doing this, right, the same thing that's happened. If history repeats itself where the VIX bounces up 12.5, if the VIX does this, shuffles a bit for a little bit, then CPI comes out or something, we get this big bounce like this, all the way back to at least 15, right? If that were to happen, and there's a very good chance that that's going to happen, this would mean that SPY is most likely going to dip soon. SPY, right over here on my left, it's going to top here. I don't know exactly where the top will be. The top could be in, but just to be safe, we'll have to watch for confirmation. We could see SPY eventually sink to fill this first gap towards 511 again. So that's easily a 10-point dip. And we'll see if that's where the bottom is for it to continue and bounce and go up approaching June. I am personally bullish for June and July. I think the market's going to run really hard. But as we approach the end of May and very beginning of June, there is a risk we could dip a little bit. Is it also possible we come all the way down to fill this other gap down here and we come all the way down to like the 504s, right? Could we be retesting this trend line right here and then start bouncing later on? That's also like another possibility, right? It's also possible we make a different move like that, then we just continue to go higher as we approach the later months. But that's also very possible. I just want to give you guys a warning about how this could end up playing out, where we get a nice little dip and bounce. It all depends. I'm also going to draw out a trend line. So I'm going to actually transition away from the VIX again. Like this, you could draw out like a little trend line. And you could also draw out this support. So maybe what could happen is, excuse me, we have this nice support that's being built here. And this is where our next support trend line happens to be. So what if SPY, when it dips, it ends up coming back down to that level like this? We come down and we end up losing support. Could we just temporarily break through this, then bounce back up and then start testing this as our next uptrend, and we just continue to push from here? That's another possibility for like a nice V-shaped recovery. We could come down to fill this gap. Maybe it happens like even sooner. Maybe it happens within a few days, and that's how we just quickly, fill this gap. Who knows, guys? But this could be like a little trend line of support. We'll just have to watch and see. If I take my Fibonacci retracement chart like this, what you'll see is that this also aligns with our 0.618 retracement. So if we were to come down to 504 again over the next like 2 to 3 weeks, then that could be our move down before we make a final bottom and the market starts to rally again. That's another strong possibility. Okay, so you want to be very open-minded to all of this and just know that the market is very manipulated no matter what. So for SPY, I do suspect there's going to be a pullback coming. That's the most likely possibility. We have these gaps to fill. We haven't finished filling these gaps. Who knows what could be the cause? It could be Jerome Powell, it could be CPI or something. But there is a risk of this happening because the VIX is at a critical support and the market is once again approaching these key levels. All right. So we will see. We'll see where SPY tops first. Let's see where it establishes its top. If we see like a head and shoulders and it like drops back down and bounces or not, we will just have to wait and see. The 0.786 retracements at this 500 area. Our golden pocket is very close to 504. So in that range, that's where we could end up bottoming, and maybe we do end up shifting like this way before we get that bounce. Who knows? But that's something I just want to give you guys a warning about. The trend line doesn't even have to be perfect. It could just be something like this. So before, excuse me, before we see some kind of downside move, watch for confirmation. Do we lose 520 on SPY, 518 starts sinking, or do we continue to break past 522? We'll just have to wait and see. And then for the QQQ, it's the same thing basically, right? I know I have my levels on the QQQ. I'm going to keep them for now. But on the QQQ, there's this gap over here all the way down towards 426. So is the QQQ about to drop about 16 points before we get a bounce? Maybe, guys. It's a strong possibility. This also aligns really well with SPY. So there could be one more pullback coming before we get a big bounce later on. So we'll just have to watch and see if that ends up being the case. With that being said, guys, if I were to remove these indicators actually and just kind of show you this, what I find very interesting about this is how if I take this and we draw out like a Fibonacci retracement, it happens to align really well. This gap happens to be very close to our 0.618 retracement. So that is where we could be going if we were to get a rejection with SPY, right? So, we could shuffle up here for a bit. Maybe we make a move back down like this. Maybe we come down to fill this gap. We come to like 427. We establish a higher low, and then we just continue to trend upwards, and we just start to climb and accumulate back up going into June and July. And then we just continue to push to new all-time highs, right? That's like one possibility, right? And then we could also draw out another trend line. I could do a lot of other things, but I just wanted to make this very clear and simple. Watch resistance. Do we break 444 and go to new all-time highs, or do we kind of get stopped right here, get a little rejection first before we continue? The rejection scenario is very possible because of where the VIX is, because of how yields are performing, and because we have Jerome Powell giving a speech in CPI coming out. So we will see if we get one more little pullback and then the market gets ready for its final rally for the next couple of months. Okay, so I'm personally bullish for June and July. I'm a big bull. But for the end of May, I am a little bit apprehensive, and I think that there is a risk of us dipping one more time to start filling some gaps. So we will see where the market tops. Don't assume it's going to happen. Just wait and see for confirmation, like I said in my other videos. And I'll give you guys daily updates on this just to see how things go. With that being said, this is going to be a very, very quick update video for you guys. Not going to make this 20 minutes long, just maybe like 12 or so. So please enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy your Saturday. I'm going to be busy for the rest of Saturday, and I'll be back tomorrow morning for Sunday to give you guys another update. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.